You ever stare at a text you want to reply to, and your brain's like, nope. Not even because you don't care. It's like your body just refuses to hit send. And then the guilt starts, the overthinking starts, and suddenly you feel like a bad person. So tonight I'm asking an AI something that's honestly kind of personal. When I can't text back, what is my brain actually trying to regulate? Because I don't think it's laziness. I think it's a nervous system move. Alright, let's see what it says. When I can't text back, even when I like the person and I'm not trying to ignore them, what is my brain and nervous system trying to regulate?
That's a really interesting question, and it's something a lot of people actually experience. Even if you like someone and have no intention of ignoring them, sometimes your brain is actually trying to regulate the sense of overwhelm or a need for a little bit of space. It's kind of like your nervous system is saying, hey, I need a moment to decompress before I re-engage. So, in a way, it's not about the other person at all. It's more about your own internal regulation and just making sure you're not feeling too pressed or too obligated in that exact moment. It's a little nudge from your nervous system to just take a breath, and then you can come back and respond when you feel a bit more settled.
Okay, so it's not even about them. So how do I explain that without sounding cold?
Absolutely. It's definitely not about them, and it's all about just how you're feeling in that moment. So you can explain it in a really warm way by just being honest and reassuring. You might say something like, hey, just so you know, if I ever take a little bit to respond, it's really just me needing a moment to recharge. I really appreciate our conversations, and it's not about ignoring you at all. Framing it like that shows that you care about them and the connection, and you're just being open about your own needs. It keeps things friendly and helps them understand you a bit better.
Wait, so reassurance is the key piece. But what does my brain think will happen if I respond immediately to the person?
Yeah, you've got it. Reassurance really is the key. And when it comes to what your brain might be thinking, it's often just a subtle sense that if you respond immediately every time, you might not have that little buffer to manage your own energy or stress levels. It's not that your brain thinks something terrible is going to happen, it's more like your nervous system is trying to prevent you from feeling overstretched or maybe a bit depleted. In other words, your brain might just be trying to protect that tiny bit of space you need so that you don't feel like you're constantly on call. And once you have that little breather, you can reply feeling a lot more present and comfortable. So it's just a small way of keeping yourself balanced.
Hold on. So my brain's trying to protect my energy? So what's the fastest way to reset that stress before replying?
Yeah, exactly. It's really just your brain doing a little energy management. And if you want a quick reset before replying, one of the simplest tricks is just to do a 30-second deep breathing exercise. Just pause, take a few slow, deep breaths, maybe in through your nose and out through your mouth, and let your shoulders drop a little. That tiny moment of breathing can help your nervous system calm down. Another quick option is just to stand up, stretch, or even step away from your phone or screen for a few seconds. It's kind of amazing how just a tiny physical reset can make you feel more ready to engage. So, just a few seconds of breathing or a little stretch can do the trick and help you feel a bit more refreshed before you text back.
Okay, so it's literally a physical reset. But why does texting back trigger that stress in the first place?
Yeah, you've got it. It really can be as simple as a physical reset. And that's for why texting back can trigger that stress in the first place. It's often because even something as small as a text can feel like a tiny social demand on your attention or your energy. Basically, our brains sometimes treat any kind of communication as a little micro interaction that we need to respond to. And that can feel like a tiny bit of pressure, especially if you're already juggling a lot or if your brain just needs a little downtime. It's kind of like your nervous system is saying, okay, one more thing to handle. And sometimes it just wants a second to gear up for that. So it's totally normal, and that little reset can just help you respond in a way that feels more relaxed.
Damn, so a text can feel like a demand. So how do I know if it's normal or actually anxiety?
Yeah, it's kind of wild how even something small can feel like a little demand on our energy. And the truth is, a lot of people feel this way sometimes, so it's definitely normal to have moments where you just need a second before replying. But if you're wondering how to tell if it's just a normal little pause or if it's more like anxiety, One way to check in with yourself is to see how often it happens and how intense it feels. If it's just occasionally needing a breather, that's totally normal. But if you find that you're feeling a lot of tension or worry every single time you get a message, and it starts to feel like a pattern that really stresses you out, then that might be leaning more into anxiety territory. In the end, if it's just an occasional need for a little reset, you're definitely in the normal zone. But if it ever starts to feel like a bigger pattern of anxiety, it's always okay to explore some extra ways to manage that too.
Hold on. So it's how often, not why. So what are the actual signs my body's in anxiety mode?
Yeah, exactly. It's often about how frequently and how strongly it happens. When it comes to knowing if your body's in anxiety mode, there are a few telltale signs. You might notice things like a racing heart, a bit of restlessness, maybe feeling a little sweaty or jittery, or just having that general sense of being on edge. Sometimes your muscles feel a little tense, or you might have a fluttery feeling in your stomach. Those physical cues can be a good indicator that your body's gone a bit beyond just needing a quick breather and is actually slipping into an anxiety response. So if you notice those kinds of signs, along with feeling like it's happening a lot, that might be your signal that there's a bit of anxiety in the mix. But if it's just an occasional pause without those intense physical signs, then it's more likely just your brain asking for a little normal downtime.
Oh, so it shows up in the body first. So what's the healthiest way to respond when I feel those anxiety signs?
Absolutely. Yeah, it often does show up in the body first. And when you notice those anxiety signs, one of the healthiest ways to respond is really to focus on grounding yourself. So that can be something like taking those slow, deep breaths we talked about, or even doing a quick grounding exercise, like feeling your feet on the floor or noticing a couple of things around you in the room. Another healthy approach is to just give yourself permission to take a tiny break. Even if it's just a minute or two, letting yourself step away and remind yourself that it's okay to take that moment can really help your body calm down. And finally, just being kind to yourself and recognizing that it's totally normal to feel this way sometimes can go a long way. Just that little bit of self compassion and grounding can help you move through those feelings and then respond when you're feeling more at ease.
Bro, my body hijacks the whole thing. So how do I ground myself like really quickly?
Yeah, it can totally feel like your body's just taking over sometimes. A quick grounding spick is to focus on something sensory around you. For example, you can try the 5-4-3-2-1 method. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. It just helps bring you back into the moment super fast.
Pause. So I need a back to my body button. That's actually a cheat code. So what's the best way to build this so texting stops triggering me?
Absolutely. Think of it like installing your own personal reset button. One of the simplest ways to build that is to pair a tiny ritual with the moment you notice that texting is stressing you. For instance, you might take one deep breath, unclench your shoulders, or even just stand up and stretch for a second before you reply. Over time, that little pattern can become your cheat code that tells your brain, hey, it's just a message and I can handle it.
Yeah, that just clicked for me. Because it's not that you don't care. Your nervous system is just trying to stay safe. So if you do the text freeze thing, you're not broken. And the moment you can feel it in your body before you disappear, that's literally progress. If you want a part two, comment text freeze, and I'll show you how to unwind it without forcing a reply. And if there's another behavior you want me to ask the AI about, what should we hit next? Procrastinating, avoiding eye contact, or ghosting someone you actually like? Comment down below. Subscribe if you want more brain breakdowns.